Hello and welcome to The Long Couch. My name's Carl. I'm joined tonight by Mel.
How we doing? How we doing?
I was waiting for that.
Hopefully well. Yeah. I used to join by Mel, and I was like, yeah, that's me.
Yep. He's still Mel.
Or was that or was that a pause for applause?
Right, yeah. I'll be sure to
everybody?
put an applause track in the edit.
I appreciate it.
On this fine evening, we will be discussing 15 things you're wrong about, aka common misconceptions. So we're going to be debunking some myths here tonight and hopefully educating some people, teaching you a few things.
I like how the thumbnail for this, which by the way, totally unbeknownst to me, I had no idea what the topic with this week was going to be. But I like how you have Santa, something very not real,
Right.
and then what I believe to be, is that Budai?
Well, we'll get there, Mel. We'll get there.
Okay. I understand now. My bad. I get it.
So Mel's going blind into this one because this is like, I'm going to be quizzing Mel, kind of. I'm going to make a damned fool out of him.
I can't wait.
I'm here tonight to expose Mel as the simpleton that he is, because he's going to believe every single one of these misconceptions.
It's about time somebody did it, honestly.
Right. Mel is just coasting through life with these false conceptions in his mind. And today I'm going to open your eyes and wake you up.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait. So
what is a common misconception? So this might seem stupid, but I'm going to do this for every single topic. I need to define it. Even if my topic is on
I think that's fair.
If my topic is on like the sun, I'm going to be like, what is the sun? Let's define it. Everybody needs to know.
But to be fair, it's just like, I think that a lot of people probably couldn't even tell you what the sun is. Like, they could say it's a star, but like, what's it made out of, you know?
Right. Well,
like all that stuff.
I guess next episode is going to be on the sun then.
I can't wait.
So
let's just ditch this idea and talk about the sun.
This is an educational comedy podcast. So it's very important that I lay out everything very clearly so everyone can learn something from this experience.
I think that's appropriate.
A common misconception is a false viewpoint or factoid that is widely accepted as being true. They generally arise from conventional wisdom, such as old wives' tales, stereotypes, superstitions, urban legends, fallacies, a misunderstanding of science, or the popularization of pseudoscience. So as we go through the misconceptions tonight, we're going to kind of pin down how these got popular and why these are so believable by so many people.
All right.
So basically the bullet points we'll go over with each misconception, and I have 15 of them, is we're going to talk about what the misconception is. We're going to not dispel the truth. That's the opposite of what we're doing here. We're going to dispel the myth and expose the truth. We're going to talk about we're
going to continue to perpetuate lies.
I mean, at the end of this episode, you can choose to believe whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to believe.
Good.
And thirdly, we'll talk about why the misconception is so popular and why these are so believable.
Hell yeah.
So, first one is Santa Claus. The misconception is not that he's real. I'm sorry to let you down.
Okay. I really thought that's kind of like where we were going with it. Like the common misconception that Santa's just like a guy
It's
out
very
there,
common that young children believe Santa Claus is real. What if I told you that they were wrong?
Is that a misconception, or is that parents lying to their children?
Well, it's
in this holiday spirit.
Well, I believe that it is a misconception because we get lied to all the time and we get our own misconceptions, as we'll get to.
Okay.
Anyway, that's not the misconception of the topic here.
Okay.
But Mel, can you tell me where Santa Claus got his iconic fat guy in a red suit look from? And if you don't know, fine, but you probably have a misconception about this.
Yeah, the way you're phrasing it, I definitely do. Because I don't... Okay, so in the old stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie, he is a fat guy with a red thing. So it's at least older than that. And I think that was like the 50s or 60s when that came out. Maybe 70s.
Okay. Well,
at least before then.
We are looking at a source before then, yes. It's commonly believed that Santa got this look from Coca-Cola commercials. Now, if you hadn't heard that before?
I mean, I've seen the Coke Santa, but I didn't think that's where the idea came from.
Okay. Well, that is a common misconception. I think I would have told you that, and I think a lot of other people would have said, well, obviously he got it from the Coke ads. That was the first time they popularized the red suit and the hat and the fat jolly guy. That's where Santa got his look from. It was back in the
Okay.
30s. The Coke ads gave him that look. That's what I was said. I've heard that 100 times.
Fair, okay.
But in
I'm guessing
reality,
that's wrong.
of course, that's the misconception. In reality, Santa Claus had already taken on this form in American pop culture and advertising by the late 19th century, long before Coca-Cola used his image. So I'm not going to attribute the real source here, but we're just dispelling the misconception of that was where Santa got that look.
Okay, but do we know where Santa got that look, or is that just kind of like just been something so like deeply ingrained in culture that we don't know its origin?
I mean, I wouldn't say we don't know its origin. I just didn't look that far. I've got a lot of misconceptions here tonight, and I'm not going to. All I'm doing with this one is saying, no, not Coca-Cola. It's not.
It's not
Coca-Cola.
that it's like widely unknown. You just don't know it.
This is my show. My research, my shoddy research is going to drive this, all right?
Okay,
and you're going to have to accept it. I'm going to
understand.
give you the information that I bothered to look up.
Okay, all right.
Next up, we've got chili peppers.
Okay.
Mel, you're looking at the diagram here of the parts of the chili pepper. Now, peppers are spicy because of the capsaicin in them. So which part of the pepper has the most capsaicin?
I'm gonna say the seeds.
He's gonna say the seeds, and that is a huge misconception.
No, I thought I was right.
Exactly, everybody thinks they're right.
I thought I knew a thing.
Most people believe that chili peppers are spicy because of the high capsaicin in the seeds. But in reality, the highest level of capsaicin is in the placental tissue that the seeds are attached to.
Okay.
Yes.
What is that?
Are you going to dispute
like
this?
the thing in the middle?
Yeah.
The placenta of the pepper?
Placenta, that's what it's called. So
Not the seeds.
that's right.
That's crazy, actually. I really was kind of wondering if when you kind of blindsided me with this topic last minute, 2 seconds before recording, I was kind of like under the assumption that I was like, I know most misconceptions. Like, I know things, right? Like, I know, like, Carl's gonna be like, oh, like, what is this? And I'm gonna be like, you thought I was gonna think it was this, but I actually know the truth. I'm a well-educated man. But no, immediately, I'm 0 for 2 right now.
You're a sheep. Actually, well, I wouldn't say that you're 0 for 2 because you didn't believe the Santa misconception.
Okay, that's true, but I was super confident about this one.
See, it's not that you need to get it right. It's just that you need to not believe the popular misconception. And
I know, but I wanted
and in
to
this
be
case,
right.
you did. You believed that.
I did. I believed
and I don't
it.
blame you
I'm
because
a sheep following the herd.
Yeah, I mean, these things are just passed off as they're just true because you've heard it so many times.
It's garbage.
Here's another good one. I mean, they're all good because
Okay.
I picked them, so obviously.
Yeah, why wouldn't they be?
But there's a certain food that you eat maybe once a year on a special holiday, and it makes you extra tired, right?
Okay, yeah.
What food might that be?
Okay, I know that you're thinking that I'm gonna say it's turkey, right? Because people are like, oh, I get so sleepy after eating Thanksgiving, which is like, me too. I also get sleepy after that. But I don't think it's turkey. I don't know if it's like the high amount of like starches that you're eating or the high amount of, like stuffing or just something like that. But I know where you're going with this, and I know that it's not turkey. So please tell me it's not turkey after I just very confidently was like, it's not turkey.
Well, surely you've heard the misconception that turkey makes you tired.
100%. I've heard a decent number of people say that. I don't believe it's true.
And you've probably heard the word tryptophan in that discussion, right?
Yes, the sleepy chemical.
Right,
or
because
whatever.
turkey is high in tryptophan, and tryptophan helps your body produce melatonin, which makes you tired.
Which, yeah, I've had the gummies.
Except that's totally wrong.
I knew it. See, I knew it.
It's not that there's...
I have a turkey sandwich like once a day.
Yeah.
I don't get tired after that.
Turkey's not particularly high in tryptophan, and it doesn't cause more drowsiness than other foods. But this tiredness that you feel is just from overeating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Like, I don't know. I'm not a big guy, right? I like to eat, but Thanksgiving, I eat significantly more than I normally would
you get
for just
tired,
your
right?
average meal. Yeah, I take a nap on me. I take a nap on the floor.
Exactly.
Like I don't I don't go to a couch. I don't go to a chair. I lay down right on the floor, face down.
Right under the table.
Yeah, right under the table while everyone's still eating.
Mm-hmm. And I think this myth is perpetuated because Thanksgiving is like the one day a year that you just go ham and just overeat.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're like, oh, I'm so tired now. It must have been the turkey.
See, I think that's fair. I think that's like, I can see how people would come to that conclusion, but also it just feels way more obvious to be like, yeah, I ate a shit ton, way more than I normally do. I'm tired.
Right. Why don't they attribute it to the pumpkin pie? Why doesn't pumpkin pie make you
Yeah,
tired?
why turkey? Also, turkey is like not a specific to Thanksgiving food.
I mean,
Like stuffing. How many times a year do you have stuffing?
right, or like
You know what
green
I mean?
bean casserole.
Yeah, I have turkey. Like I said, I have a turkey sandwich all the time.
Mhm.
I had one earlier today.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just not.
I would say a lot of people probably aren't eating like a full turkey breast on a very common
That's fair.
occurrence, and that's when you eat the most amount of turkey. And maybe it's been attributed because turkey does have tryptophan. Is that the word, tryptophan? Yeah, tryptophan.
Something like that.
I'm getting too many chemical names going on here. Tryptophan in it, whereas like pumpkin pie or green bean casserole doesn't have any. I don't know. I'm not a food scientist, but maybe that's
fair.
why.
Not many of us are.
Maybe that's why sleepiness has been attributed to turkey. Okay.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got a picture of a handsome gentleman here with an amazing, incredible mustache.
Yeah, fantastic.
So this man, he's an inventor of the early 20th century. What is it? What is his name, and what did he invent?
Shit, I feel like his... fuck.
I'll give you a hint. He's got three names.
3 names?
Yes. The most important people have
Okay.
3 names.
Yeah. You can tell when somebody's has significant prestige or social status if they have 3 names. Okay, I know his name. I can't remember it.
Okay.
I can't.
Well, maybe if I say it, you'll think, yes, I know this one.
Does he have the name of another famous person as well?
He does.
So is it George Washington Carver?
Absolutely. This is George
Cool,
Washington
okay.
Carver. What did he invent, Mel?
I know that the popular factoid is that he invented peanut butter. But over my travels over the years, I feel like somewhere along the way I learned that wasn't true. So I'm not gonna take the bait on this one. I don't think that he did.
Right, but you definitely heard at one point that George Washington Carver invented peanut butter.
I believed it for most of my life.
There was a large portion of your life before you got that dispelled that you believed that.
Yeah, 100. Like the first 20 years of my life, probably.
If you had asked me before I started researching, you could show me this guy's picture, I would immediately say that's George Washington Carver. He invented peanut butter. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
no
kind
doubt.
of it's kind of like it's kind of like world breaking. It's a bit of a culture shock when you learn that he didn't, because that's like one of the big factoids of your childhood.
I don't know why that's
everyone
so
in elementary
memorable.
school knows. Yeah, like everyone right. Like, why is that the one that sticks out?
Right. Is it just kind of like because it's a fun invention that we all like?
I think it's due in part to him having the same name as the first United States president.
That's true.
So it's like you can kind of connect multiple factoids. Like, he invented peanut butter, but also his name's also George Washington. So it's like
true. Yeah, that makes it more memorable. And he invented delicious peanut butter, except that he didn't. He didn't.
Who did?
Well, according to my very well done research, peanut butter was used by the Aztecs and the Incas as early as the 15th century. And the first peanut butter related patent was filled by John Harvey Kellogg in 1895.
Oh my God, dude. John Kellogg has his toes in everything.
Yeah. But it seems
this man is...
It seems peanut butter goes way, way back, way farther.
I guess so. Dude, the Incas and the Aztecs. That's crazy.
Well, it doesn't really take a genius to smush up peanuts, right?
I don't know how to make peanut butter. I'm sure peanuts are involved in the process at some point, but I don't know.
I remember as a kid, I did make homemade peanut butter with my dad. It's one of my
That's
few
really
father-son
cool.
memories. Putting it in like a
Yeah,
plastic bag and mushing it up and all that. Maybe that was part of my school assignment when I learned about George Washington Carver, when they fed me false information as a wee child.
yeah. I wish that George Washington Carver invented peanut butter. I don't like that John Kellogg gets the credit for yet another thing.
Now, he invented a lot of things, and he
Yeah, he like eugenics.
he came up with the idea of crop rotation, and he compiled lots of uses for peanuts, soybeans, pecans. So he does have a hand in using and growing peanuts. And one of his inventions, at least one of his inventions, is tied to that crop rotation.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Okay,
maybe that's part of where this myth comes from.
maybe.
And you
Possibly.
have to assume that a lot of these things, somebody must have said it at some point, and it just got perpetuated through secondhand information.
Yeah, it just kind of snowballed out of control.
Absolutely. Because I learned this in school. Where are they getting their information
Yeah,
from?
that's where I learned it.
Exactly. All right, next up, we've got Night of the Living Dead, a very famous movie by George A. Romero. What is this movie known for?
What is it known for?
Yeah, it
Like,
breaks a couple
as in
molds in film, and it was the first
mean-
to do something.
I mean, I don't know if it was the first zombie film, but it definitely popularized zombies. I don't know if maybe that's what you're referring to.
Night
but-
of the Living Dead is commonly attributed as the first zombie movie. Right, and if I had heard that, yeah.
yeah.
I've heard that fact
yeah,
before.
that's fair.
Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero, he is the father of zombies, right? His movie was
Yeah.
the first to have zombies in it. Except that it didn't. Because there was a
I knew
movie
it.
back in the 30s, 1932, called White Zombie with Bela Lugosi in it. It's got zombie in the title.
I'm gonna say, yeah, damn, that's just like right there in the title.
Yeah. And I mean, it was way before 68. It was in 32. It wasn't very good or very popular. It didn't take off in the way that later zombie movies did. But it was
there nonetheless.
It was the first zombie movie. Not to mention that Night of the Living Dead doesn't even feature the word zombies anywhere in the movie.
Oh, really?
They call the undead ghouls the entire time.
Ghouls. That's such an antiquated word.
Yeah, it's not until the sequel that they actually start to call them zombies. But most people would probably tell you, yeah, Night of the Living Dead, first zombie movie. They don't even say zombies in there.
My cat is knocking my microphone over.
He doesn't want you to be a part of this.
I don't know if it's. I think he just wants affection.
That's cats for you.
All right, bud, come on, under the cat tree. All right, he's out of the way for now.
All right, next up.
But yeah, I did not know that there was just like a whole other movie.
There was probably more than one movie in that time period.
Yeah, that's fair.
But none of them really had the cultural impact of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
Which really shot
sure.
the whole zombie craze into motion.
I've never seen it. I've never seen Night of the Living Dead.
Well, lucky for you, it's completely royalty free, and you can watch it on YouTube.
That's by accident, right?
Right. You know what? Fuck.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, I'm not even going to tell you that because that might be a misconception.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that's true.
I'm
actually.
worried now. I'm worried that all these common things that I've just heard, like, what if this is a misconception?
Yeah, what if I've just been like systematically lied to my entire life?
What if Night of the Living Dead is actually royalty free on purpose, and I've just been led to believe that it was an accident?
Yeah, actually, shit. What if it is on purpose?
I've never looked into it.
I look like a fool. I literally just took it at face value.
Exactly.
I'm like, why would someone lie about that?
I've grown hesitant in making this episode.
Yeah, after this episode, I'm gonna be hesitant to believe anything I see now.
I hope that everybody who sees this, all three of you, will question everything from beyond this point.
We're breeding paranoia and skepticism,
That's what we're here for.
like real red, white, and blue-blooded Americans.
Next up, who is this handsome gentleman on screen?
That is Frankenstein's monster
Very good, Mel.
from the popular book by Mary Shelley.
Yes. Now, Mel, you are not a victim of the misconception that that
Nope.
is Frankenstein.
I've never been a victim of this misconception. I was in elementary school telling motherfuckers, Frankenstein's the doctor or the scientist.
They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no,
They hated Mel because he spoke the truth.
I was not popular for this very reason.
So the misconception is that Frankenstein is the titular monster of Mary Shelley's 1818 novel. I mean, you see parodies or other interpretations of Frankenstein's monster. What do they call him? They call him Frank. They call him Frankenstein.
Yeah. Frankie.
Yeah, they give him cute little names like
That's
that.
wrong.
Hardly anybody you'll hear refers to him as Frankenstein monster. You go to a costume shop, they've got a Frankenstein's monster costume. It's just Frankenstein.
I will say this. I will happily say this. I feel like that this is, at one point, one of the most popular misconceptions in American pop culture. Like, one of the biggest ones. But I do feel like it's been on the decline over the past couple years.
You think so?
I feel like there's been a recent downward trend in people believing that the monster's name is Frankenstein. I think that we're still in sort of the infancy of getting rid of this misconception, but I feel like I've noticed people kind of shying away from it. But it at one point was probably the most popular one, to be fair.
Right. The problem is this book came out in 1818, and the farther away we get from the source material, I feel like the more people are going to have this misconception, because it just isn't. It's all secondhand now. It's all adaptations.
I think this one will always exist.
Right, and it's just, you hear people call him Frankenstein, and you think that's what it is, and it just spreads like wildfire. So obviously, the novel is named after the monster's creator, Dr. Victor Frankenstein. The monster is only ever referred to as Frankenstein's monster, but it's not catchy. He doesn't have a name at any point in the movie. If he had a name, this wouldn't be a problem, I think. If his name was...
it wouldn't.
I don't know. Lulthorpe.
Well, he needs a label. And like you said, Frankenstein's monster doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue.
Absolutely.
So I think that... But also, I like that he doesn't have a name. I think it kind of like attributes... Because like this whole thing... about Frankenstein's monster being misunderstood, about sort of being this like victim of lack of identity and place in the world. I think not having a name only helps reinforce that whole theme of like not belonging or being displaced in a way.
Right. He's not even a part of society because he has no name. And he's misunderstood, all right, because everybody thinks he's named Frankenstein.
yeah. That's the most misunderstood thing about him.
All right. So, Mel, you've already spotted this one from a mile away, which I would not have. But we've got two figures here. So which one of these statues represents Buddha?
So the one on the right is a statue of Siddhartha Gautama, and the one on the left is a statue of Budai.
Very good. I would have immediately pointed to the fat laughing guy, but said that's Buddha. But you're absolutely correct. That is Budai, a 10th century Chinese Buddhist folk hero. Here in the...
I know my 10th century Chinese folk history.
Very good. Commonly here in the West, he's known as Fat Buddha or the Laughing Buddha. So he's been misattributed as Buddha so much that he just kind of has taken on that nickname.
Yeah, did you ever hear that rubbing the statue's belly was good luck?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure that wasn't just something somebody told me one time. And I've just like been on my own rubbing the bellies of Budai statues.
And I believe, there's the idea of the Buddha belly. That's the idea that Buddha is fat, or people compare fat people to Buddha, or when a fat guy sits and crosses his leg, he's Buddha.
Yeah, which is a whole other conversation to have. To be fair, that's like a whole other thing that maybe should be addressed.
Maybe so.
But yeah, no, not the Siddhartha Gautama. And there's been multiple Buddhas, but that's not one of them.
Mm-hmm. And if I ask somebody who's the fattest religious figure, they'd say, "Oh, Buddha, definitely. He's a fat guy."
Oh yeah, Buddha. No, Buddha was just I don't think that our dear friend Siddhartha was I think he was not fat.
Well, they're not thinking of him. They're thinking of Budai.
No, they're thinking of fat Buddha.
Yeah, exactly.
Rubbing his belly.
Mm-hmm. And their names are so similar. That's probably part of the
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know if it is.
You don't know if it is Budai and
Okay,
Buddha?
Budai is so close to Buddha.
Right.
But growing up, like, I don't know. Like, it's not that, like, people got Budai and Buddha confused because, I mean, I never had even heard the word Budai in reference to a 10th century Chinese folk hero. So I think that, like, one person mistake Budai and Buddha, but I think most people that mistake that for Buddha have never even, like, heard of Budai.
That is true, but somewhere down the line, somebody knew that was Budai, and they got it mixed up,
Yes.
and they perpetuated it
That
from
is the
there.
root cause.
So now, yeah, it's gone so far that most people haven't even heard of Budai. I certainly didn't. I would have said that was
Poor
Buddha.
Budai, honestly.
Right? He's definitely
Imagine that being your legacy.
just being...
At one point, a greatly revered folk hero. Now, and you kind of just been, over time whittled down and decreased to the status of just being mistaken.
You know, I think that Budai would just laugh it off, though. Honestly.
That's true. He looks like a really whimsical kind of
I think he would just
guy.
be glad that his image is perpetuated and inspires joy in people. He wouldn't even mind if they got his name wrong.
I agree. Actually, you've enlightened me the same way that Buddha would enlighten his followers.
Absolutely. So we've got another religious tinged one.
Nice.
This is a twofer, the first of our two twofers.
Okay.
So according to the Bible, 3 wise men attended the birth of Jesus Christ on December 25th. So we are not going to go into the misconception that this even happened. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, okay. That's a different conversation.
We're just going to discuss, does the Bible actually back this up?
Okay. I grew up in church. So I think that I have a pretty qualified background in terms of answering this question. One, the 3, call them what you want, wise men, magi, kings, they didn't get there until like a while after Jesus was born.
Okay.
Like it took them a while. And December 25th, made up, ripped from the pagans, not true.
Okay.
That's my stance on all this.
All right.
As a former Baptist.
Right. So I think a lot of people believe that the Bible backs up that date, or at least alludes to it.
No, not even close.
Not even close. Or that there are 3 wise men, because that's how all the stories go. The 3 wise men followed a star to the birth of Christ and presented him with 3 gifts.
Yeah.
So the Bible does not directly say when Jesus was born, but it actually even goes against that with a couple things, like the fact that there are sheep out, in December, that wouldn't be a thing, and that there was some kind of registration or something, which would require people to travel, which would most likely have not been done during the winter, because, who wants to travel in the cold? So since those two things
nobody
were happening during the time of Christ's birth in the Bible, it leads against the idea that he was born on December 25th. So where does this date actually even come from? Well, church leaders probably chose this date to co-align with the celebration of the winter solstice, so it would be more appealing to pagans to get them to convert.
That's what I'm talking about.
And you've probably heard that before from like edgy emo kids who hate Christmas. They're just like,
Yeah, they're like, that's just a pagan holiday.
Christmas is just a pagan thing, man.
You don't believe in either thing. Shut up. This isn't your conversation to have.
The Bible also does not say exactly how many wise men came to visit baby Jesus, nor that they were kings or they rode on camels, and it doesn't make any mention of their names or their skin color.
Yeah, the importance is I think that it could have been more than 3, but there's a lot of emphasis on the gold, frankincense, and myrrh aspect of the story, the gifts that Jesus receives. It's 3 gifts. Let's just say that 3 guys.
Right, because there are 3 gifts presented, people think there must have been 3. It only says that there are more than 1, so there could have been 12 wise men for all we know.
Possibly. That'd be a lot cooler.
Could be. How about 99 wise men? And then they all had a battle royale, and the last survivor got to keep baby Jesus.
I was about to say, where are you going with that? The last survivor just gets to keep Jesus, Son of God, King of Man.
That's the ultimate prize, isn't it? I mean, maybe you can just keep the gold and the frankincense and myrrh. Take that back with you.
Yeah. You get gold, which is worth its weight in gold, and then some nice smelling stuff.
All right. Well, I forgot to mention, but that last question actually ended the quiz portion of this. I wasn't keeping
nice.
score,
Wow.
but I'm just going to say that you passed.
Wow.
So here's another misconception, which definitely has burrowed its way into my head. But in the early Civilization games, there was a glitch dubbed Nuclear Gandhi. And due to an integer overflow, Gandhi would become really aggressive and start using nuclear weapons and being like a total warlord against you if democracy was adopted in India. And I've heard this one before. I'm a big fan of like video game trivia and weird Easter eggs and glitches. And this was a popular one because, it's just funny to think of Gandhi being a crazy maniacal warlord in a Civilization game.
Yeah.
So the idea was that because every leader had a certain aggressiveness scale programmed in, Gandhi had the lowest of 1.
Naturally.
But if democracy was adopted in India, that would lower any given leader's aggressiveness scale down by 2, which made Gandhi have a negative aggressiveness point, and that would kind of go back on itself and make him incredibly aggressive.
Okay. I could not even begin to guess whether or not that's true.
I mean, I heard this around, and I thought this was...
I played Civ 5 for a grand total of 9 hours, and I've only played it once. So I played Civ 5 for 9 hours straight, and then never again.
All right. You didn't have any aggressive Gandhi in that game, though?
Not that I can recall. Definitely not like a nuclear, reckless abandon Gandhi.
So this is totally fabricated.
It's a hoax.
Just a hoax, basically. Just something that some article made up. So Sid Meier attributed the origins of the rumor to both a TV tropes thread and a Know Your Meme entry, while Reddit and a Kotaku article helped to popularize it. So it's kind of just somebody made this up, and it just started to spread. People picked it up because they thought it was interesting, and they just took it at face value, and they said, check out this crazy glitch that happens in the Civ games where Gandhi goes aggressive. But this is actually one of those myths that later became true because it was so popular.
Oh, so it kind of like retroactively became.
Yeah, so if you had played Civ 5 or Civ 6, this actually happens as a reference to this popular hoax.
That's crazy.
So it all...
I respect meeting that fan demand, but also like, let's just add Nuclear Gandhi into the game. I mean, fucking why not?
The designer thought it was funny too, so they had to add it in.
That's fair. And it all kind of snowballed from one post. So it's like, what guy out there is just like, staring off, 1,000-yard stare into the void like Oppenheimer because he started the Nuclear Gandhi meme and it just became larger than life.
Right.
It got out of control.
Seems like video game hoaxes back in the day were really popular because...
Oh, yeah.
Because magazines would run like April Fool's articles. Like I'm pretty sure like the nude Laura Croft glitch or code was from some April Fool's article. So that just seemed like a popular thing.
I would hear all sorts of things. I mean, I would play Call of Duty World at War on the Xbox, and you would hear about like if you did some wacky crazy Easter egg, then like this would happen, and it fucking didn't. It was a lie, made up by people who hate children and fun.
Right, we've all fallen for these at some point.
Yeah. I mean, you do this in Mario, and Mario, like, I don't know, fucking twerks or something.
Like you could unlock Luigi in Mario 64. Or Bigfoot was in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I could do...
that was a big one.
I could do an entire episode on gaming myths. I mean, and Bible myths, don't even get me started, or misconceptions. Yeah.
I believed a lot of them as a kid. Because why wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, everything on the internet is true.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's another video game myth.
Gotcha.
And Mel, I'm worried that you're too young to even relate to this.
Oh, whatever. I had a Game Boy. Don't do this to
All right, a
me.
Game Boy.
I'm 22 years old.
So when a cartridge video game, like on the NES or Sega Genesis, you pop it in and it doesn't work, what do? Of course, you take it out,
you blow
into it, you blow the dust out, you put it back in, and it works. Everybody
and
does
I will be damned if you really seriously get on this podcast and you tell me that it's not true. I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to.
Because it worked every time for you, right?
I don't know who you are working for, operating under, represent, but this propaganda machine, the gears that you're turning, I'm not going to listen.
Well, you don't have to
Blowing
listen.
works.
Well, I mean, you do have to listen. You just don't have to believe it. But blowing into video game cartridges has no noticeable impact on games working correctly. And actually, blowing into them could spread moisture from your breath and actually damage.
Yeah, definitely. Probably makes it probably actually degrades them faster.
Yeah, in the long term, it's actually bad to blow into them. But this actually, it does work, but not for the reason you think. It's actually just the pulling it out and reinserting it that fixes the problem. Because of the way that these cartridges interface with the console, the way they slot in and their contact points, they wear down.
Yeah.
So if your game doesn't boot, you take it out, you blow into it, you put it back, and it works. It must have been due to my blowing, right? There must have been some dust on there.
Me.
But no, it's just reinserting would have done the same thing. Then you're actually hurting yourself in the long run by blowing into it.
So upsetting. I knew that was true, but it's so upsetting. I don't want to face the truth.
And it's like, how did this? Is it just like seems like a common sense thing? Like
I think that in your head, you're like, obviously there's something in the cartridge. It's not the software or the hardware. Obviously there's just something in there.
Right. There's something physical preventing these from making contact, right?
And if I blow in it, it'll come out, whether it be dust or, sediment, whatever gets in your Game Boy or your fucking NES cartridges. I don't know.
It just makes sense because everybody did it. I did it. All of my friends did it. My cousins had the NES. They would blow into it. Mel still does it, apparently. Next up, in the Middle Ages, the average life expectancy was between 30 and 40 years. Due to the poor condition of life and no medical technology, all the diseases, all the things that could kill you, you really weren't going to live that long.
I believe this. I know it's wrong, but I think that I saw somewhere recently that it was higher, but I don't think it's that much higher.
So, the life expectancy at birth was skewed by high infant mortality rate. That was very low. But an adult could expect to live to the age of 64 on average in medieval England.
It's making it past childhood, though.
Right, that's the hard part.
It's some crazy shit. Like fucking 1 in 7 kids are making it past 20. It's fucked. I remember reading something about the Middle Ages, and that might be incredible hyperbole, to be fair. But it really is 1 in 4, 1 in 4 kids, 1 in 3 kids is making it past 12.
Yeah, it seems like this is a case of people confusing the at birth life expectancy compared to the adult life expectancy.
I'm looking it up.
And it's definitely true that it is shorter. Because what is the life expectancy these days? 85 or something?
I think that for men it's 74 and for women it's 78.
Really?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't look into this. I'm just pulling shit out of my ass. But it's definitely at least 15 years higher.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so for the Middle Ages, the infant mortality rate was about 200 to 300 per 1,000 live births dying in the first year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's fucking 3 in 10 kids.
So if you can
not making it past 1,
if you can get through childhood, then you've got a decent life expectancy. Not that you'd want to live that long in medieval England, but at least you got the option.
There's stuff to look forward to in that life, in that way of life. There's
dragons.
Dragons, yeah, that's the big one.
Wizards.
Wizards are, and they're wizard towers too.
Right, and you can drink mead.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, there's actually a lot to live for now that I'm thinking.
Yeah, okay, it's not that bad.
Damn, ripped all the fucking losers who didn't make it past that first year. Jesus Christ.
They missed out.
They really did.
And so did I. I was born in the wrong generation. Take me back. I want to be sipping some mead.
That's what I'm saying. I want to be sipping mead, casting spells, slaying dragons.
That's the life for me. I was not meant to work a 9 to 5.
Being illiterate, the bliss.
Speaking of being illiterate and wearing a cool hat, Vikings.
Oh, wow. That was a great segue. That was an incredible transition.
Thank you. Probably the most iconic part of Viking attire is their horned helmets, right?
Yes. I know those are fake.
Every Viking character.
I know that those are fake.
Every Viking character that we've ever seen has a horned helmet. The Minnesota Vikings mascot has a horned helmet.
Listen, I have a friend who has traced his ancestry back to the Norse, and he's very dedicated to understanding the history and the culture of his ancestors. And he was like, by the way, Vikings didn't have horns on their helmet. And I was like, yeah, you're like the resident expert of this in my circle. So I'm going to believe you. Take it at face value.
Well, you were right to do so, because that's just a total myth. But where did this idea come from?
No clue. No fucking... Oh. Wait.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Okay. The stereotype of Vikings wearing horned helmets likely originated with Scandinavian and German artists in the 1800s, long after the day of Vikings. They popularized...
Like operas?
Yes. And paintings. So,
nice.
Another thing, if you think of Vikings wearing horned helmets, weirdly enough, you probably think of operas. You probably think of like Bugs Bunny dressed up like a Viking, pretending to sing opera.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Right? And that's because that's where that's actually attributed to. Whoever did the costume design for popular operas at the time with Viking characters decided, wouldn't it be cool?
I wonder where that came from.
Wouldn't it be cool if the Vikings had horned helmets? And it just stuck.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's probably what it was. It was just like, oh, this would be fucking badass.
I mean, they were right.
Cool,
it's definitely a very eye-catching piece of attire.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I'd wear it.
But it's kind of funny because we don't even draw this idea of Vikings wearing horned helmets from actual Viking mythology. We're just getting this weird misconception from operas and paintings and stuff from the 1800s.
Just for people who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, like they made this shit up after the fact. They thought it looked cool. They thought the Vikings would be cool if they wore horned helmets, and it just stuck so well that nobody even questions it. Okay, we've got one last point, which is another twofer.
Okay.
This is a big one. These are two myths about evolution. So, evolution is the theory that humans evolved from chimpanzees.
Okay, I do not believe this. I believe that humans and chimpanzees have a common ancestor. That doesn't mean that we evolved from apes. We evolved from, I think it was Neanderthals and Cro-Magnon. Neanderthals die out. Cro-Magnon goes into Homo sapien, whatever. Or maybe it wasn't Cro-Magnon. Whatever. But we have a common ancestor, not from them.
And the idea...
But this is a twofer. What's the other one?
Well, the fact that it's a theory. So let's get into the truth. So firstly is the point that evolution is a theory, which means, well, I mean, it's kind of just like a guess, right?
Well, I know you're going with this. Continue. Because I also agree.
Mel, you want to jump down my throat and just dispel all this because you actually have a nuanced view of evolution.
Well, a theory in science, a theory doesn't mean that we don't know if it's true or not. It's just
absolutely
like a theory is based on facts, things we know.
A scientific theory is based on actual research facts, years of evidence and research and established facts. Like gravity is a theory.
Yes.
But people, common people just use the phrase theory and hypothesis interchangeably. Like if I were to say, I've got a theory that there's government buildings on the moon and they're beaming waves into our brains. What I really mean is I have a hypothesis about this. Because, in the scientific method, a hypothesis is just kind of a speculation before you do any actual testing. Whereas a theory is all backed up by actual evidence. But people hear the word theory, and because of the way that it's just colloquially used, they believe, evolution is a theory? They're just guessing then, right?
Yeah, we don't have it. Oh, it's just a theory. It's just a game theory. Yeah, no reason that's the truth at all. But it's just like, that shit is like, it's like, I'm not gonna go into a tangent about evolution, because I feel like I will very quickly shift the mood of this podcast. Not something that I want to do, but I digress with this statement. When I was in 7th grade, my science teacher. How old are you in 7th grade? Like 12?
Yeah.
A 12-year-old asked our science teacher, like, "Hey, when are we gonna get into when are we get into evolution? That part of science." And I'm sure the kid probably just thought Darwin was like cool or something. And the teacher was like, "Never," like real intense. Like her smile faded, her face tightened, and she was like, "Never bring up the word evolution in my class ever again." And I was like, that stuck with me. Like, fucking 10, 11 years later still. I'm like, what the fuck,
Did you go to
man?
public school?
Public school.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, right. That's I mean, I went to Catholic school up until the 1st grade, and they never did any shit like that there.
No, I don't think they'd be teaching.
They were just like, praise Jesus, let's do mass every Wednesday.
Right, but then you went.
But in public school, that was said to a child.
Is that not just part of their curriculum in public school? Like I learned.
That's
evolution.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is like that's just like a part of the curriculum. Like you learn about Darwin, you learn about evolution. But this woman was not having it. She was furious. Like I thought this kid was gonna get like sent to the office.
He said the evolution word in class.
Yeah, this was righteous fury.
And it's
Anyways,
very easy to
I digress, though.
to misunderstand evolution because, well, it's kind of misrepresented, and also it's just complicated. And it is. It's easy to see this image of, okay, you got a chimp, and then you got a slightly more human chimp, and then on and on and on and on, and then he's got a human. So it's easy.
And now he's wearing clothes.
Yeah, now he's walking with a stick. And it's easy to see that and say, oh, well, how did we go from chimp to human in a direct line like that? Like, did a chimpanzee one day just give birth to a human? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it just came out.
There is no there is no hard line between chimpanzee and human. So monkeys and humans share a common ancestor that lived about 60 million years ago, which diverged into separate lineages that eventually became monkeys, chimps, and humans.
That's so cool.
So at some point in the far, far future, we had an ancestor that then evolved into multiple different branches, and one branch became humans, the other branch became monkeys, and the other branch became chimps, and so on and so forth. There is no direct line between chimps and humans. They both come from the same tree stump, basically.
Evolution kind of fucks me up a little bit.
There are a lot of misconceptions about evolution that I found in my research of this, and we could probably do an entire episode, though it might be kind of dry.
I'm sure that would go over great and not alienate anybody.
So on that note, those were 15 popular misconceptions, which we have now dispelled, and you are now the more wiser for hearing it.
Exactly. Not only did you get some good laughs in, but you're leaving this a smarter, more well-educated person.
I hope that the next time somebody brings one of these up, you will shut them down. You will be that actually guy.
Be so fucking annoying about it. Be so goddamn annoying about it.
That's your responsibility.
Be like, actually,
and
do it just like
next time you hear something that just sounds right, you're gonna have to question it, because for all you know,
question everything.
It could be just one of those common misconceptions that nobody bothers to question. Everybody just takes at face value, and it spreads like wildfire. And if
Exactly.
you like this episode, I can easily do 10 sequels on this. I had a hard time narrowing it down to 15. So this has been
We'll do a part 2.
15 Things You Were Wrong About. Thanks for watching The Long Couch. I'm Carl.
I am Mel.
Thanks for watching.
Why'd you laugh? What did I do? What did I say?
You're just so charming, Mel.
Oh my god, I appreciate it. Never mind. I take my shock back. Now it's been replaced with earnest adulation.
Just hearing you speak, Mel, just fills my heart with joy.
Brightens my day.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode on Tuesday. Bye.